Hi, you guys. Thank you for folks who are hopping on to our Facebook Live for tonight. We're going to be talking about how to overcome roadblocks to weight loss. So I'm just going to give people just another minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. But if you're joining me, feel free to say hello. Let me know where you're coming from or where you're at, and anything that you might be interested in learning about in terms of those roadblocks to weight loss. So, some of the mini topics that we'll be covering include what is a detox versus a diet. We'll also be talking about thyroid health, and I'll give you some practical lifestyle and nutrition tips to support a healthy weight, and what role emotions and stress can play in weight loss as well. All right, good. So, if you don't know, my name's Joanne, and I'm a practitioner here at Natural Healing Center. I work with clients to feel better naturally, really using food as medicine. We couple that with different types of natural remedies, which might include herbs, homeopathic formulas, stem cells, healing technology like Beamer therapy, Novathor, oxygen, exercise with oxygen therapy, and a few others that we offer too. So, be talking a little bit more about how nutrition response testing, which is the healing modality that I practice, can support people in identifying areas of stress or cause of stress on the body, which, when removed, allows them to bring things back into balance. Part of that is weight. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Well, let's hop right in. So, again, the topic for tonight's Facebook Live is how to overcome roadblocks to weight loss. So, we have a lot of clients come in with weight being one of their health concerns, and it may be the case that, nothing has changed for them in terms of diet or lifestyle, but all of a sudden they've experienced this unexpected weight gain, and no matter what they try, things that have worked for them really well in the past, just they're not getting any results from that. Or maybe they lose weight, but then they're regaining it, they're losing it, they're regaining it, and it's having this like yo-yo effect. And well, the things that I'm going to talk about tonight, it also applies to the opposite. So, I also, on the other end of the spectrum, I see people coming in who are having like a really hard time gaining weight, no matter how much they're working out, no matter how much they're eating, they're still really thin and slender, or more than they'd like to be. So, the way that we look at things here at Natural Healing Center is that inability to lose weight or to gain weight is a symptom of some kind of stress on the body or imbalance going on in the body that needs to be resolved. So, let's talk a little bit first about our first mini topic, which is a diet and how that differs from a detox. So, one thing that you need to know is that our body stores toxins in our fat. When these toxins are present in the body knows to create fat in order to protect us from those toxins, and unfortunately, as an result of that, we see unwanted weight gain. Okay, so what are some of these toxins that I'm talking about? Well, it could be heavy metals like mercury, which can, these can come from a variety of different places. I'll just give some examples, but mercury, that can come from dental fillings. Aluminum, which can come from deodorant, aluminum foil, aluminum cookware. Lead, which can be from the red ink in tattoos, and also from other like home and personal care products. Nickel is another one, and the list goes on. Other stressors or toxins could be from chemicals. So we talked a little bit last week about chlorine and that being absorbed through water in our home. So that could be in your shower, or that could be through your tap water. So make sure you're using a good quality filter on both of those. Formaldehyde, that is on the coating of new furniture, new carpets. It's that new car smell. So clothing, that's another place formaldehyde is. Textiles like drapes and things like that. So if you just recently redid your home, you might have a higher concentration of formaldehyde. And if you're wondering how to get rid of those toxins in the home, you can go to the last Facebook Live video I did on how to rid environmental toxins from your home, and you'll get all that information there. Pesticides from our food, pesticides from weeding our lawns and gardens and whatnot. And then we also may have toxins from foods, so pesticides again, and then also like think of packaged foods, and you have those like food dyes and colorings, additives and preservatives to help things last longer. So those are some examples of what I mean by toxins in the body that may be stored in fat. Okay, so what does it mean to go on a diet? Typically, going on a diet entails you're cutting calories, you're pairing that with exercise, and while this can work in reducing fat in the body, it doesn't address the toxins. So what happens is, as weight decreases, toxic density actually increases. So then what does the body do in response to that? Now the body sees, okay, there's all this toxins that we need to protect ourselves, or I need to protect myself from, so now I'm going to create fat to store those toxins and protect myself, and then as a result of that, weight goes back up. So it's what's called rebounding. You're losing the weight because you're cutting calories and you're exercising, toxic load goes up, and then your body's creating more fat to protect you, so then you have that like yo-yo effect going on, unfortunately. So what is the difference between a diet and a detox? So a detox focuses on removing toxins from the body, which at the same time creates lean muscle and releases excess fat. So it does both. Detox allows toxins that have been stored in fat to be released. It promotes weight loss. It also has other really positive effects like increasing energy, reducing inflammation, clearer skin, reduced sugar cravings, clearing of brain fog, and enhanced immune function. So, and then to continue to maintain that level of health and detox through the body, it's really important that you keep a really clean, balanced diet, and that will support you in a naturally lean body and continued reducing of or decreasing of your toxic burden. Okay, so at Natural Healing Center, we use nutrition response testing to identify what toxins are present. So again, that could be metals or chemicals, toxins in your food. And we work to address those toxins basically using food as medicine. So when you come in for initial consultation, one of the tests that we do is we test you for food sensitivities. So food sensitivities aren't the same as allergies. They can change with time, but basically your body is saying, today I've had enough of this. This is causing stress, inflammation, swelling. So we have you go off those foods, and we can do that gradually depending on the client. Some of the most common inflammatory foods we see that people test sensitive to will be wheat, dairy, corn, soy, sugar, sometimes nightshades, sometimes caffeine, fruit. Really just depends on the person. So we have you go off those foods to decrease additional stress and inflammation on the body. We add in healthy, healing, tasty foods that help the body build and repair and rebuild itself. In addition to those foods, we'll also add in potentially, depending on how you test, certain supplements that are intended to address that toxin in the body. So a lot of times that might be like a binder, like to help bind to those chemicals and metals and help to detox them from the body. A lot of times it's minerals, because when the body has the minerals that it wants and needs, it's easier for it to let go of the heavy metals that it's hanging on to. And just backing up a little bit with like going off different foods, you know, again, we can do that gradually with people, but a lot of times I feel when it comes to making changes to foods, it's not about like eliminating an entire category, but just finding an alternative to the foods that you're already having that you enjoy. So, for example, if someone comes in and they test off oats, okay, like let's take a break from the oats for the time being, and a good substitute for that would be buckwheat. So buckwheat's actually not a grain, it's a seed, and when you simmer it on the stove for about 10 minutes time, it has that same consistency as steel cut oats. For like wheat, you know, it doesn't mean that you can't ever have bread again, but maybe you go for a grain-free bread, which they have a lot of different options now, and we would coach you through all that. We have a list, like a food booklet, all these different like clean brands that would be good substitutes for the foods that you're already having. So that is kind of the difference between diet and detox. Detox is really going after those toxins in the body, and as a result of that, you see a lot of times decrease in weight, but again, all those additional benefits as well, like more energy, better skin, that type of thing. All right. So, my next mini topic, we're going to go into thyroid health and how that might be a roadblock or an obstacle to weight loss. So, first, what is your thyroid? Your thyroid is a small butterfly shaped gland. It's underneath the skin, in your neck, underneath your Adam's apple. And it's part of your endocrine system, which controls a lot of your body's important functions, because it not only it produces and secretes certain hormones. So thyroid hormones affect the following bodily functions, including metabolism, heart rate, breathing, digestion, your body temperature, your mental activity, skin and bone maintenance, and fertility. Your thyroid's main job is to control the speed of your metabolism, which is the process of how your body transforms the food you consume into energy. And since all of the cells in your body need energy to function, the thyroid gland and its hormones basically affect almost every organ system of your body. And so when your thyroid isn't working properly, it can really impact everything that's going on in the body. So, what can negatively impact the thyroid? Well, it's a lot of what we talked about just a few minutes ago, certain toxins, so chlorine. Right? So remember, get a shower filter, get a water filter. Another one is plastic. So swap out your food containers, go for glass instead. Avoid plastic water bottles, plastic utensils, things like that. And other chemicals would be like radiation. So throw out your microwave. I mentioned that in the last Facebook Live, you know, getting the radiation from there, it's really changes or alters your food, and not in a good way. It's not very nutritious after it comes out of the microwave. Another thing too, if radiation, EMF protection, so EMFs, and those can affect the thyroid. Other symptoms, you know, lack of concentration, brain fog, headaches, things like that. So obviously we need some of our devices. I need this computer in front of me in order to talk to you. I need the Wi-Fi. So what can you do instead? Get some EMF protection. There's a company I recommend that we have their products here. It's called protectpro.net, and they have protectors for cell phones, for personal use, for either small or large size homes. In addition to that, your foods really can have a role in impacting thyroid health. Certain foods in particular would be sugar, soy, and dairy. So you got to be really mindful, especially with the sugar and soy, because they are hidden in so many different products and they go by a lot of different names too, to kind of make it harder for you to know that it's there. So for example, if you see sucrose on an ingredient list, or high fructose corn syrup, brown rice syrup, those are basically indications of added sugar. And then for soy, that one's even trickier, because it can say like natural flavor, and that could, there could be a soy additive in there, or vegetable. Another one is vegetable solid proteins, or vegetable proteins potentially can be a source of soy as well. Dairy, a cow is a 2,000-pound animal. So imagine we consume milk, cheese, yogurt, and those hormones as well. And we're competing with those hormones in the body when we ingest those different foods. So something to think about. A lot of clients will end up being okay with swapping out cow dairy for sheep or goat dairy instead. It's a little bit more comparable to our size and more tolerable for our body to handle. So goat cheese, goat kefir, goat yogurt, sheep cheese like manchego. Feta is actually, if you get a good quality feta, and it will say on the label that it's made from sheep cheese, usually you'll say like authentic Greek or Israeli, but unfortunately, when the lower cost feta in the U.S. is typically made from cow, and that's not traditionally how it's been made in other countries. So again, read your labels with that, and that can benefit your thyroid. So what are some symptoms of thyroid dysfunction? Well, one could be unexplained weight gain, or again, the opposite is true, unexplained weight loss. It can slow down or speed up your heart rate, so sometimes heart palpitations might be a symptom. Difficulty tolerating cold or heat, so I have some clients who are constantly like running cold all the time, cold hands and feet. I know, like, I get that way when I don't eat, like I go long periods without eating. That doesn't happen that often, but when it does, I can tell like I'm hungry, because my hands and my feet will get cold, more so my hands. I also have other clients that run really hot, so that can be an indication of some kind of imbalance within the thyroid as well. Other symptoms would be like moods, experiencing more depression, anxiety, also like energy levels, you're tired all the time. Another big symptom is hair loss. Irregular menstrual cycles, low libido, those can all be related to thyroid health. So, another thing I want to point out is oftentimes clients will come to us after, maybe if they've already seen their doctor, and they say, I know something is off with me, like I know something's going on, but I recently had blood work done and everything came out normal, so I don't really get it. So what I can say to that is that there's a range for that blood test, and the normal range, let's say, I think for the TSH hormone test is typically like 0.5 to 5. So let's say you take a blood test and your blood test says you're at a 4.5. Okay, so that puts you in the normal range. But what if it's the case that for a lot of your life in that range, you've been more at a 1. So while 4.5 puts you in a normal range, it's not normal for you. And let's say things keep going with your thyroid and you finally get pushed out of range, so you're over a 5 now, but by that time, things are a bit more far gone than you would like them to be. So at Natural Healing Center, again, we use nutrition response testing to test the thyroid specifically. We apply a light pressure on the thyroid, and we also apply pressure to one of your muscles, typically your arm as an indicator muscle, and your body will respond to that muscle will respond via a muscle response, identifying if there's stress in that area of the body, and then we can use test kits to determine where that stress may be coming from or what the cause of that stress is. Metals, chemicals, food sensitivities, maybe related to like damaged nerve tissue, also like scars is what I mean by that. It could be pathogenic, like virus, bacteria, yeast, that type of thing. And so once we can identify what those toxins are, we would test to see what would work well to address them. Maybe it's a binder, maybe it's a whole food supplement, a homeopathic, an herbal, and then we couple that, because you still can out supplement foods, so food is still number one, working with you to reduce those foods you're sensitive to, add in the foods that are going to be like fuel your body and really be beneficial to your health. With the thyroid in particular, you want to be, I recommend eating every 2 to 3 hours. I often hear from clients, I'm so busy or I'm not hungry, and they end up eating maybe like once or twice a day. So it may be the case that their body is like starving essentially, and it's making it actually harder to lose weight because they're holding on to it. So when we can give the thyroid what it needs nutritionally, it then has the energy to perform more optimally, and we see improvements in clients' overall health, and as a result, we also see their symptoms subside, which is really great. So in this way, we're really working to get to and address the root cause of thyroid dysfunction and the corresponding symptoms to it. Okay. So that's thyroid health. I want to talk a little bit about emotions. So we talked a lot about like physical stress on the body, chemicals, heavy metals, food additives, how that can cause stress on the body, in particular the thyroid. And another potential area or roadblock to weight loss may have to do with emotions. So, emotions are energy, and there can be times where maybe something traumatic happens or something really overwhelming happens, and we have these emotions come up. Maybe it's like anger or shame or feeling unworthy, whatever it might be, and we can't process it the way that, in order to release it, we can't process it right then and there. And so what our body does is it stores it, and essentially that becomes like a trapped emotion. And there's different, and those trapped emotions can really affect our physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual health. And so there are different ways to release trapped emotions. Yoga is one. Another one that we practice here is called emotion code, and it is a technique that works of identifying and releasing trapped emotions in the body using muscle testing. It works really well and really fast. I mean, it can be done in a matter of minutes, and it can really open the doors to healing. It's something that I practice on myself, and my dog gets a lot of it too. And what I can speak to is that, for a long time, I struggled with like scarcity mindset, even though I did all this like personal development type work. It's just like something that like would continue to come up for me. And after doing, some sessions around emotion with emotion code and seeing what came up in that testing, in addition to like work I was doing myself, I've like really experienced like an energetic shift lately in that area of my life in particular, where I am just like, I feel like I've let go of that scarcity mindset. And it's kind of like there is a feeling of there's gonna, like, everything's gonna be okay. I'm gonna have exactly what I need, but even like more than what I need. I feel like there's just like so many like opportunities for growth in so many different areas of my life. So it's just something that I've noticed lately and I want to share, because I do think that with some clients there is an emotional component as well that would be really beneficial for them to work on, to improve their health and work towards their health goals, which may include a healthy weight. Okay. If you have questions on emotion code, feel free to ask in the comments, and I'll be sure to give you some more information about that. Okay. All right, I'm going to go into some lifestyle and nutrition tips to support a healthy weight. So, I would say, if someone asked me how to lose weight and I could only give them two tips, these would be my two tips. So one is like really up your veggie intake. Go for 2/3 up to working your way up to 3/4 of your plate with veggies. I like to say get like a rainbow. They all have different, like the red veggies will have different vitamins and nutrients than the green veggies or the yellow veggies or the orange veggies. So try to get a little rainbow. And then also for weight loss in particular, I would say try to stick with non-starchy veggies. So like lettuce, cucumber, celery would be really good. So that's one, veggies. For that, so you have like most of your plate veggie, and then for that last like quarter of your plate, let's say, go for a high quality lean protein. So if you're going with like turkey or chicken, go like pasture raised. If you're doing seafood like salmon, tuna, wild caught, yeah, so for really good sources of protein, and lean protein would be good. Okay, and then my second tip, so one was really just veggies, and then I threw that protein component in there. But then two is drinking half your body weight in ounces of water a day to help you flush out toxins and really for the optimal health of your cells and your organs. All right. These other ones are very important too, but I just wanted to those are my two. If you want to start somewhere, start there. Okay, so next one is cook your food at home using whole food ingredients. So whole food ingredients are unprocessed or minimally processed foods that are as close to their natural state as possible. So it'd be something like a zucchini or a sweet potato, as opposed to like a bag of chips or a loaf of bread. And when you cook your food at home, you just have you have full control over what goes into the food, as opposed to when you go out to a restaurant, there may be a lot of a higher sugar content, potentially some additives in there, and refined oils, that type of thing. And I'll go into restaurant eating in just a little bit, but cook your food. Meal prep, that's another big one. Oftentimes we grab something, we get home from work, we're starving or we're on the go, and then it's like we just grab what's convenient to eat, or Yeah, so we tend to, or we overeat. That's another one too. So we tend to make not the best choices when we're in that state of hunger and we don't have anything that's like ready for us to eat. So just like a couple hours a week of meal prepping is gonna go such a long way for you, because then you're gonna get home or you'll get to work and you have what you need to eat and you know it's going to be good for you. So even just that level of stress about that is less is too. So that'll go a long way for you. um, and what else do I want to say about meal prepping? Oh, so what I do, is I'm probably do a whole other Facebook live about this, but make a plan for the week. Decide a couple different options for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks for the week. Write a list, go to the grocery store, get those things on the list in addition to whatever else you need to replenish at your house. And then get home either that day or another day that you decide, cook a bunch of stuff, and then maybe you don't want to eat the same. Say you make like a big bowl of soup, or a big batch of soup, and you don't want to eat that for the next 5 days. No worries. Portion out a few, pre-portion it, because that'll help with you and managing weight. And then you put a few portions in the freezer, and then the next week when I want something quick and easy, I'm just going to take it out of the freezer. I'm going to heat it up, on the stove or in the Instant Pot, and it's going to be like another meal that I can have. Okay, so let's see. I want to make sure I gave you guys all the information. Okay, good. Yeah, so I already said this, but reduce or avoid going out to eat, and that's because what I said, quality of food is not going to be as controlled as what you would have at home. In addition to that, the portion sizes when you go out to eat are huge, and so there's a tendency to overeat when we are in that situation. So what I've witnessed in working with clients around weight loss is some people eat out for like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, so then it just becomes like this cycle where they're constantly overeating, and then they feel like overly full and bloated, and that just becomes like the normal. That becomes like the baseline. Well, this is how I feel when I eat. When, like, no, I would say that doesn't have to be the normal, and your food is your fuel, and you want to feel energized when you eat. You don't want to feel sluggish, like you're going to take a nap after, so go with eat until you're about 80% full. Okay, because the mind's going to take a little bit longer to register, so just work on just being mindful with your food, slowing down to your food, sit down when you eat, and then go for being 80% full when you stop. Okay, another tip is avoid sugar. This includes like your regular sugar, like your white sugar and maybe honey, agave, maple, whatnot, but also simple carbs like juice, fruit juice, cereals, pastries, alcohol. So alcohol is definitely a factor when it comes to being an obstacle in losing weight. Alcohol makes fat loss more difficult, and it also disrupts your sleep, which is really important for weight loss or maintaining a healthy weight and your overall health, to be beyond that. To keep you satiated, again, and so when we're not satiated is when we'll probably want sugars more. So to keep you satiated, make sure you're getting good quality protein at every meal. You're getting healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, raw nuts, and seeds, and you're pairing that with a bunch of veggies as well. Exercise regularly. That can definitely help promote weight loss. And if weight loss is your goal, I'd say go with strength training, 3 or more sessions a week if that's okay with your body. And again, you can always work up from 1 session, even a half a session, and then go up from there. I touched on this lightly, but go for 8 hours of sleep a night. When you don't have enough sleep, your cravings increase, your metabolism suffers, you have less energy, and you're less likely to exercise. And then lastly, be mindful of your stress levels. When you are stressed, you're in that fight or flight mode of your nervous system, and it's going to mess up your digestion. So whatever you can do to reduce the source of your stress or find ways to cope with your stress that are beneficial to you. So, a lot of times I hear like clients' ways of coping with stress is eating sugar, eating stuff that maybe they know they shouldn't be. So, what can you do instead? Can you go for a walk? Can you listen to music? Can you call a friend? All those things that might be probably are more beneficial to you. Okay, so that sums up the information that I have for you guys tonight about obstacles, roadblocks to weight loss or really weight gain. I'd love to invite you into Natural Healing Center for an initial consultation where, again, we will use nutrition response testing to identify any areas or sources of stress on the body. So, metals, chemicals, food sensitivities, areas in the body in need of nutritional support. So, definitely taking a look at the thyroid and the organs of the digestive system, making sure that you're able to break down your foods and get all the nutrients that you need from them. We'll do a day of just testing and getting to know you, and then we'll invite you back and go over the results of your tests. And that will be really a roadmap for you. Program that's designed specifically to meet your needs. And so typically, I don't know if I said that, but the price of the consultation is $2.99. And if you mention this Facebook Live, then you get a $50 discount. On top of that, we are having a Black Friday special right now. So if you have a friend that is interested in doing a consultation too, then we're doing buy one, get one. So then that makes it basically like half price for both of you guys. We also have the emotion code available, and there are some specials on that as well. I believe if you buy an initial consultation for emotion code or a package, if you've already done that before, then you also receive a 60-minute energy balancing session or consultation with Trish, and I've worked with her and she's amazing. And so if you're feeling a little off, like energy, stagnant wise, over, like for me, some of the things that I've worked on with her, it's like overthinking. So if you have more questions about that, please do reach out. I hope that you got little nuggets of good information that you can think about and possibly make some changes. Any questions, any comments, please leave them and I will get back to you. If you have any topics that you'd like to hear me discuss, you can leave those in the comments as well. And I want to thank you so much for joining me at this Facebook Live, and I hope to see you in a future one. All right, thanks so much. Good night, you guys.